Hey guys, massive update to the project launcher this weekend. So there's some massive updates. We're on version 13. I've been working on it all week, and it's phase one of another massive updates. I'm going to actually build a desktop app so you can actually use Claude Code and Codex within the app itself, but that's coming over the next month. But for now, there's a new autopilot version for running the architect builder method, so you don't have to sit there and go back and forth. If you want to run it on autopilot, once you get through the architect session, you get the pack written, turn it on fly, and let it go on autopilot. Spent a lot of time on it. I think it's in a good spot, so I released it in the version. It's important to understand if you want to get the method in your current project, make sure you go to mission control, and this is for always, for mission control. If you want to make sure your folders are up to date with the latest and greatest, you want to make sure you connect a folder here, and it should tell you. And let me see if I can find an old project here to show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to open this 120x brain and let's see if that works. And if you open up a project that is in the 120x method, you'll see right here, you get these amber windows and it says this folder needs an update. So before you use fly or /fly, you need to update your folder that you're working in. If you're starting a new project, it'll already be in there. But if you got an existing project, you want to make sure you update your folder. Okay, so you go to the mission control and you can see right here, and you just hit update folders, and it'll say which folders it's going to update. It doesn't touch your code. It just updates the 120x architect builder method within it, right? And so then in here, you can see that I'm connected to this. A lot of this will be blank because it hasn't been recorded with the new method. But once you run through the architect builder method, or the /fly method, your dashboard will get updated. And I'm still making tweaks to this mission control dashboard. And but you can see right here, there's a new command in here called /fly. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but in Claude Code, it's /fly. And in Codex, it's $120x fly. You can still use the hands-on, the method. I've been teaching all the videos that you've seen me on YouTube and showing you how to use it. You can use /architect and then start a new session within Claude Code or Codex, and then /build, and you've got the Codex instructions here too. But let's just go through and let me show you a little bit how the /fly command works. And we'll do a project. We'll start a new project. I'll just build from a template. I'm just going to browse a template, and we're going to build a sales KPI dashboard that way. As always, what you're trying to do when you start a project in the project launcher is to fill out the intake form. If you're starting a new project, you can brainstorm in a large language model, use the prompt, bring it in here, and paste it in here. But when you do a template, a lot of this stuff is already filled out for you. I'm going to say unknown on the GitHub repo. And then you can see all these other things are filled out already. And I'm just going to create the architect workspace. Okay, so it started a project called Sales KPI Dashboard, just like you've seen me do in the videos before. The thing that we're going to do here is put it on my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in wherever you have your projects. In my case, I got it in a folder called builds. So I'm going to select it. It's now on my computer with the 120x method in there. Now I need to update these instructions here. I just realized that the second step would be to run the architect from the folder, and in Claude Code it's /architect. But if you want to do an autopilot, it's /fly. So I'm going to go to Claude Code. We'll just start it in here. So I'm in Claude Code, and you can do this in Codex. In fact, I'll show you how to do that too. Same thing. But I'll start a new session in Claude Code, and I need to navigate to the folder that was just put onto my hard drive. So I put it here in my builds folder, and then you can see it's the sales KPI dashboard right there. So I'm going to open up that folder, and we're going to, now my Claude Code session is connected to that. Now, normally in the old way, you'd go /architect and it would start the session, but now you can just do /fly, and it should pull it up automatically because you're connected to that folder. And essentially what's going to happen is the same thing as /architect. It's still an architect session. It's still going to read your folders. It's still going to do a discovery session with you. The only difference here now is that when it writes and it says, okay, we've done the discovery, we've brainstormed, we've got all the answers that we need to start building this thing. it's going to say, hey, just tell me go and I'll write the pack. And then once it writes the pack, it goes into a loop and it goes architect, builder, architect, builder, architect, builder. And there's some, what do we call safety is the wrong word, but there's some QA in there to make sure because you're removing yourself if you've been used to when the architect writes the pack and then you start a new session and you start with the builder and then the builder builds a plan and you take the plan back to the architect. All that's done automatically now. Okay. It may take a little bit longer than doing it that way, but it's because I put some safety checks and some quality assurance in there to make sure the architect is very skeptical, and it's been pretty cool to watch over the weekend. I had it really conservative before, and it was too long, but it catches a lot of things, and there's got to be a balance though. And so now it's about the same time frame that it would be if you were doing it manually, but now it's almost like you can walk away, get a coffee, or if you're running mass, the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm running 3 or 4 projects at a time sometimes for clients, and I don't have to be there. I can just kind of be there with the planning, say go for it, and then I come back when it's done or it's stopped and they need some sort of decision. So that happens sometimes. And so if you can look right here, I haven't been talking, but it says, it's reading everything. It's eventually going to give me a plain English description of what has happened. And then here it is. Here's the plain English version of where we're at. You got a clean scaffold, sales KPI dashboard, generally strong intake. This is why it's sharp. And again, this is the discovery phase. You're talking to the architect. So even though you use the /fly command. And so it's asking me questions here, just like you would an intake. And he goes, where does this deal and activity come from for the V1? And I'm going to just say, again, this is all for a demo. I'm kind of making this up. So we'll say from a direct database, what should this first flight produce? I'm going to say, go for a thin build. Who logs in? What can they see? We'll say 2 roles rep. How should people log in? Email and a password, and go on, so on and so forth. So again, you just brainstorm with it, do your discovery, and I'll pause it here until it tells me it's ready to write the architect pack. Okay, so that was a couple minutes, and you see I answered a couple more questions. Again, this is a demo, but look at this. He's got a plan. He's got the ground truth. He says, okay, this locks the system. I feel pretty good about what we're trying to build. What we will build this flight kind of defines it all right here. And he says what we will explicitly not do. And he's telling me it's going to be about 4 to 5 sprints, an estimate, not a promise. That's great. So we've got a plan. But this is the important thing. Again, this is going to be different and unique based on your intake and how long you sit there. He goes, if this is the flight you want, say go, and I'll write the 1 pack and get things going. So I'm going to tell him go. And I'm just going to say, go. I like this. And that starts the loop, guys. So everything up to that point is just like your normal architect session. You're doing discovery, you're answering questions, you're going back and forth. Your architect is your greatest asset all the time. He's the person you're going to be depending on or relying on to get that idea out of your head, and it's going to be your great backstop. But now, as you can see, I don't have to really do anything. I could really get up and get away, and what I've been doing is I've been putting this on remote, and I can go about my business, do other things. And if it needs me for something, it'll stop, and it will remind me and say, hey, it needs your input here, what decisions you need to make. But for the most part, it's on autopilot until the thing is done. And so it is doing this architect builder, what you were doing manually, being the person in between, it's doing it as a loop. So you have an agent in here that's doing a loop. Honestly, guys, I think it's catching things better than I was catching when I was the middleman in between. There were a couple instances that I was doing even this morning on one, and the builder caught some flaws in the architect's plan. It caught a couple errors and it even fully admitted that if we were doing it the old-fashioned way, the architect builder way, where you're in the middle, it would have missed it. Now, was it a critical flaw? No, but it was something that could have been introduced, low risk, but I was kind of impressed that it caught it. But now we've got it down, and it's taking, from a timing perspective, what you normally would do if you were doing it manually sitting in the middle. But now you can just kind of run this loop, and you don't have to create 2 separate sessions and go back and forth. It keeps it straight in your head. In fact, over here, if you look at this grouping, you can name it whatever. And so I would rename this down here fly, and we'll call this initial session. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm finding that it's easier. I can just say whatever I'm working on, I can do right here. And then, of course, with Claude, you're going to have to create a group. And so I'll create a new group, and we'll call this test CRM because it's not real. I'm just doing this for demo purposes. But now that I've got my project right here, I can each session. And so now you don't have architect builder, you just got a fly session. Now you can do architect builder. There's nothing stopping you. I mean, in my next session, I could do /architect and I could do it the old fashioned way. There's nothing stopping you. Things are still going to get written to your folder structure and everything else. In fact, you can see that right now. It's creating a pack. It's writing things to the architect builder method. So everything's getting updated. Now, once it gets done with this, I'll show you what the mission planner looks like in the launcher. But for now, I'm going to pause this and we'll see how long it takes. If it stops me halfway and asks me a question, I'll turn the recording back on and we'll look at it then. Just wanted to show you here, see how the pack was written. This is all automatic. I haven't touched anything. So you get the builder writing its plan. And again, you can check things as things are being ran and run. But again, all automatic. It's talking to a builder and the builder's talking to the architect. Okay, guys, I'm back. It was about 23 minutes total. That was enough for me to go fix something to eat and come back. And look at all the stuff that happened from when we said go. He went through all of this stuff. He's talking to the builder. The builder wrote a plan. He gave it back to the architect. The architect reviewed the plan. And then the builder started coding. And as they were coding, you can see they're also doing tests. You can also see right here, they were creating even some of the UI. And then as he ran everything, he went through, ran an agent for a fresh inspection. So a fresh architect with fresh context, and had it test everything. So that was like you had a third set of eyes on there. And all of that took about 23 minutes. This is a fairly meaty sprint. It was setting up a lot of the structure and infrastructure and everything else for this CRM. Again, this is a demo. But all of this autopilot. And so what's so great about this, and it's done, is it sends right here. He says, hey, this flight ends. Here's where we're at. Everything passed. It went through all of these tests. Again, it's doing tests that we weren't doing in the old method. So in a lot of ways, you're getting better code. It may seem like it takes a little bit longer, but you're not having to do the back and forth. I was completely hands off until it got to the end and it says this sprint is done. And all the detail is right here. And again, everything is written to the folder structure. If I go back to mission control and I connect this folder to it like I did, you can see, and I'm working on this dashboard. We're still making improvements. I'm working with another guy, Rob. He's really been helpful with this. He's a user of this and he's helping me come up with this. But you can see we've done 2 sprints. We're on the 3rd sprint. What does this mean? Like kind of a summary of where we're at. A recommended next action is plan sprint 3, which would be the swap seed repository. And again, it just reminds you if you want to do an autopilot or if you want to do it this way. You can see the roadmap. This was sprint 1. We're in currently sprint 2, which we're closing out. And then here's the other 3 sprints that were coming. When sprints are done, you'll see them completed here. You can get really technical about what happened with your sprint being closed. And then also you can also browse your folder structure. And if you can see, just like you normally do, we've got our Architect Pack 2 here that was written. And then also you've got your sprints with all your acceptance criteria, your blueprints, your handoff, your requirements, all that historical discipline knowledge, that software engineering discipline and knowledge so that you can hand this off to any tool. You can do this in Codex, you can do this in Cursor. And in fact, I was doing some sprints in Cursor today, connecting it to their Grok, and it recognizes the /fly. So you've got all kinds of options here. You can mix and match. Again, if you wanted to do this in Codex, there's nothing stopping you from doing it. And it's that sales KPI dashboard. We'll open it and we'll create the project in here. And then in this case, it's not /, it's $120X. And you can see it right there, fly. And you can just hit that. And it's just like it would be in Claude Code. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to read those contexts. It's going to act as the architect. It's going to read all those documents and files and give a recommendation. Look, and like in my case, I'm working with 3 clients at any given time, and I'm working on 3 different projects. Doing architect builder and sitting in the middle can get very taxing and also can get very confusing sometimes if you're working with 3 projects or more. And now you can just start fly, you focus on this one, hit fly. You've got 20 or so minutes plus to go work on something else and go to the next one and you fly. And just like in this case, you can take a break because you can get burned out sitting in front of this computer. Just go let it fly. The project launcher gives you that structure you need for that discipline structure, that historical knowledge, so your projects will never drift. That's why you do it. You get the launcher to get that folder schema. And again, we're making improvements. Right, I was working on to where you can work with Claude Code and Codex in the browser. Some security issues in there, so I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to create a desktop version. I have a plan for it. And if you want to put it on your desktop and then also have Claude Code and Codex within the project launcher, just like you can see things side by side. So that's coming down the pike. Again, if you get the project launcher, one-time payment, so $197, never ask you to pay for anything else. You'll get all the upgrades as I do this for lifetime. And if you got questions, you can always reach out to me. I love hearing from you guys, seeing what you build. If you've got questions about the project launcher, let me know. Again, you can start from a new project, your idea. You can start from a template. Like I said, we've got a bunch of templates in here, 43. I'm going to add more as the weeks go by. If you wanted to start it from a template. And again, let me know if you got any questions. I appreciate all of you that have purchased the project launcher. It's over 300 plus people so far. And every day I hear about somebody building something or taking a messy project that they vibe coded in Replit or Lovable or something else, and they brought it in here, bring it into the project, onto the method, and they got it clean and they're on their way. If you want me to build it with you, there's options for that. You can join the cohort, which really it's me working with you one-on-one, getting your project cleaned up and getting you going down that path. And so I appreciate all the people that I've worked with so far and meeting a lot of people. And like I said, reach out to me and let me know if you want to become a part of the 120X community and get that project launcher. I'll see you on the inside.